This weekend, Virginia International Raceway and the Sports Car Club of America combine to form a mecca for lovers of sports car racing. Almost 500 drivers in over 20 classes do battle in a race for the gold. Since 1964, the SCCA has been crowning national champions at its annual runoffs. It's the peak of the Summit Racing Equipment SCCA road racing program. For the second straight year, welcome to the track that Paul Newman once called Heaven on Earth for the historic 60th running of the SCCA runoffs. And then there was one, as we're getting ready to crown our final champion for the 60th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Again, thanks to Mazda for providing the broadcast for us. As I'm John Fippen alongside Larry McLeod, and down in the pit lane is Hayward Wagner, and we are about to go T2 racing. And I mean, this is a field that is top heavy with experience. And Hayward, you've got a good view of them in your view. How are you, my friend?
It is warm down here, guys. These drivers have been waiting for 2.5 days to get back on the racetrack. Their last qualifying session was Thursday afternoon, which was largely an overcast and cool day. So this is kind of a new situation, new condition for these T2 drivers. You mentioned heavy, and there are some heavyweights in this field, both in experience but also just in overall vehicle girth. That starts with our pole sitter, Kurt Rezzetano, trucking around this track with 3,500 pounds of Mustang. Next to him, another behemoth, Scotty White, out of Washington State. This is Scotty's best qualifying effort in a couple of years. He's running on the Goodyear here. He did some testing with that tire in a race earlier this weekend, and he's feeling real good about how that tire feels. Someone who didn't seem to be feeling quite so good is Mark Boden. Mark is kind of looking around going, hey, how come all these other guys have torque? I'm not really sure how to play this game. And then, of course, if we're going to talk about weight in this field, there's two weights to be discussed. One is the 3,800 pounds of John Heinricy's Cadillac Blackwing here, and the other is the weight of the 16 National Championship gold medals that hang around that neck. So we have got all the weight you could ever want, and we've been waiting for it for 2.5 days.
Well put, well put, well put, Hayward Wagner. I appreciate that. Lefty, it's so great to have you with me for the final championship race. We got one more after this, but this is the final championship race of the weekend. And, man, there is just a cast of heroes at the front of this field.
And the heavy hitters of heavy hitters when it comes to two of them in here come in with 4 gold medals. Another one, of course, is Hayward mentioned the 16 gold medals of Heinricy. It is stacked, a lot of experience that don't yet have gold medals, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And they're going to get to go around this beautiful VIR. Let's check out how they are going to do it. They're going to go down into one. Heavy cars don't like to brake on downhill into one, but they're going to have to find a way. Around that horseshoe in one, they'll go roaring down towards turn 3, right in front of that beautiful pagoda tower there. And then they'll funnel, hopefully get together again into a single file in turn 4, the left hook. They'll come bounding curbs through the lower S's, the snake. They'll go bounding more curbs through the upper S's, the climbing S's there, 7, 8, 9. And then they're going to have to use a little bit of brake to go around South Bend because they've got probably more horsepower than grip. They're going to get around toward Oak Tree, down to the south end, and then we'll see the real strength, the power of these cars up that hill on that back straight. And then they're back to tiptoe mode down the roller coaster, 14 through 16, and then Hog Pen. And you're putting 3,800 pounds around Hog Pen. That is a lot of car that needs a lot of tire, but then they get to go use their horsepower again.
Exactly right. So this is going to be kind of a dance between managing the tires and getting to the finish. And I'm looking forward to this one. This one should be great fun. You know, as I look at, I'm a numbers kind of guy. This is a 13-car field. 168 starts among these 13 winners, 24 gold medals among these 13 drivers. And it's just hard to believe how experienced this field is. So no one is going to lack for experience. It's all about who's going to go fastest. Let's introduce these starters to you. Starting alone in row 7 on the outside is car number 34, Tom O'Toole, out of Willamette, Illinois, in the Chicago region, in a BMW M2 CS Cup car. The only rookie in the field starts outside of row 6, the 146 of Alan Phillips from Glassboro, New Jersey in the South Jersey region in a Ford Mustang GT. Next to him in row 6 is car 14, Scott Sewell out of the Texas region in a Porsche Cayman GTS. In row 5 on the outside, car 18, Aaron Kaplan out of the Chicago region in another BMW M2. Next to him is the number 3 of Matthew O'Toole out of the Glenville, Illinois, the Chicago region, as we've got 2 O'Tooles in the field, and he's in another Porsche, the 911 997. Moving forward to row 4 on the outside, Joe Boden in the number 45 out of the Chicago region in the Fall Line Porsche Carrera S. Next to Joe is the 12 of Brian LaCroix out of the New England region in his Chevy Corvette C6. In row 3 on the outside, the 23 of Alan Kossoff out of the Chicago region in another Porsche 911 996. Next to him, car 73, David Sanders out of the Philadelphia region in a Phoenix Performance Chevy C5. Now we get into the heavy hitters. As we go into the outside of row 2, in his 38th runoff start, the legend himself, car number 35, John Heinricy out of Clarkston, Michigan in the Detroit region, a 16-time gold medalist. But he most recently won this 2 years ago, winning T4 2 years ago was his last gold medal. Of course, Hoosier Mobile Hawk, his longtime sponsors, and he's in this brand new 2022 Cadillac CT4-V Blackwing. Next to him, his 40th runoff start in car number 46, Mark Boden out of the Chicago region, Fall Line Motorsports, a Porsche 911 997. He has 4 championships, most recently this class in 2020. Moving forward to the front row, in his 41st runoff start, car 0, Scotty B. White out of Auburn, Washington in the Northwest region in his Dodge Viper SRT-10. Can Scotty finally get his first gold medal after 41 starts in the runoffs? And the man who has dominated this class for the last several years, the 37 of Kurt Rezzetano as your tire rack pole sitter, out of Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, in the Philadelphia region, the Phoenix Performance Ford Mustang GT. He is the 4-time and defending champion of this class. All of his championships have come from T2, including the last 2 in a row. So those are the guys that are going to duke it out here for this final medal round for the 60th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs for 2023.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see here is Rezzetano is a fast starter. In qualifying, he would basically run 1 lap, sometimes 2, and then he would park it. He can do it right off the bat. The other guys are going to be a little bit slower to catch up to him, and that's going to be fun to watch, that bit of cat and mouse. Can they keep him from getting away and then maybe pressure him into running those tires down?
And again, just to reiterate, Kurt Rezzetano, as all of our pole winners here this weekend, the recipient of the Tire Rack Pole Award. We thank Tire Rack for making that possible for these pole winners. They have a big party on Thursday night after the last qualifying round, and acknowledge all of the pole sitters for all of the classes here. And Kurt Rezzetano, the last one of this edition of the runoffs, taking that prestigious Tire Rack Pole Award.
Wait till you see the trap speed on that open-top Viper and Scotty White. I tell you what, that thing motors down the straightaway. He may not have the same power coming off some of the corners like you'd expect a Viper to. The Mustangs really get off the corners well, but if they get to the end of the straightaway, that Viper has got legs.
And it makes a beautiful noise, too. That V10 just really is a nice thing to listen to as well. And Mark Boden right behind him. And then the unknown quantity in this race is John Heinricy in that Cadillac. He's done a lot of development with that car and admits that he doesn't know if he's got everything it needs, but they've been working hard on it. And this could be, he's kind of the dark, I won't say the dark horse, but he could be a surprise here as first time out with this car. John, of course, with a long history with GM products, and this is the latest one that he's going to put under his very capable hands. We wait for the green, and there it is, Rezzetano and Scotty B. White in a drag race down to the first turn, and there's the horsepower of that big V10 Viper. Scotty B goes to the front, but he has to be a little defensive, and Rezzetano is going to try to roll it around the outside. There's Heinricy and Boden right there, and then the Corvette, the number 73 of David Sanders, sticking his nose in as well. They're still side by side. Rezzetano is going to get a nose ahead, but Scotty B's not going to let him get away too quite easily. A little wiggle as they're all on cold tires. White, remember, on Goodyears, everybody else on Hoosiers, as he works his way through the left hook, in the right-hander, and into the snake. Mark Boden right there behind him as they work their way through, as Heinricy's dropped back a spot. in the early running here. Heinricy with the heaviest car in the field. You can see how big it is compared to the other machines. Let's just see how that Cadillac Blackwing can get it done. He's going to go side by side with Sanders on the run into the climbing S's, and he gets that pass done. So take nothing away. Heinricy can wheel that machine, no question about it. The 23 of Alan Kossoff in that gray Porsche right behind Sanders in the 6th spot.
Yeah, a beautiful start there. I thought for Scotty White had a great run down the first corner, but then he had to woe that car up, and it's a lot of weight to do it. As Rezzetano got by, he tried to go back at him, couldn't quite do it. Then Rezzetano had a bit of a check up there in the middle of NASCAR, put it sideways. Scotty had to back up, and all of a sudden now Rezzetano able to kind of use that to pull away a little bit. Lots of battles going on in the back of the field, though.
Indeed, as we got cars going side by side as they're still sorting themselves out on this first lap, including the number 3 of Matthew O'Toole, and then the 18 of Aaron Kaplan going after it. And right behind them, the Corvette, the number 12 of Brian LaCroix, who's dropped back a couple spots in this first lap. As you can see, a little oil dry down after a car dropped some fluid on the track from an earlier race, but it's so far not creating a problem for any of these guys. And speaking of the number 3 of Matthew O'Toole, he's the winner of the Sunoco 260 Tuesday Award. It's kind of a fun award that Sunoco makes available for the drivers on the first day of qualifying whose time after the decimal point is closest to 260. And Matthew O'Toole made that one happen. And his time was a 204.136. The closest anybody got to 260 in this one. He gets 15 gallons of Sunoco race fuel for his effort. A nice intramural Porsche battle here between the 23 and the 45. Alan Kossoff and Joe Boden in his blue Carrera S as they work their way through the left hook.
Joe Boden there, the younger of the Bodens there, the son of Mark Boden, who's currently running up in 3rd, having a really good battle with Kossoff. And I know those guys probably know each other as they're both out of that Chicago area in those Porsches, so a lot of familiarity between them. Interesting to see is Heinricy early on, great trap speed, nearly as fast as the Viper, so there are definitely some legs on that Cadillac. Despite being a little girthy, it's definitely got some legs underneath.
Mark Boden dropped a wheel off there in the climbing S's, as again, I'm sure these cars still getting the tires up to temperature as we're only working race lap number 2. So once they get settled in, let's see what happens as this battle continues, as the 12 of Brian LaCroix in that Corvette tried to make a move on the 18 of Aaron Kaplan, and they touch, and both of them go around, as right behind him, the 14 of Scott Sewell goes around as well. I think he may have checked up, seeing the dust,
yeah, I think so.
And the rear end got away from him, but I think they're all going to be able to continue,
yep.
So that's a good note.
So LaCroix in the Corvette got a little slow and not quite a clean exit coming around the South Bend, and I think then the BMW M2 Cup car with Kaplan was able to get alongside of them, and it just sort of stayed there, and I think they just kind of misjudged how they were proximity to each other. We'll get a replay as we're going to see this kind of build as they come up the hill.
You can see that cloud of dust there, which would create a little visibility issue.
Yep.
But here they come into the climbing S's, and the Corvette gets a little squirrely.
But watch as they come around South Bend. You'll see the clean exit of the 18, thinking there's an opportunity as he goes to the driver's left, and they come in there, and I don't know that LaCroix thought he was going to stay up there, or maybe there's a initial touch on the way in.
Little wiggle from the 18 of Kaplan.
And LaCroix never backs out and stays underneath there. Probably shoved his nose in a little bit too deep. Ends up both of them spinning out.
But everybody able to continue, but they've got an uphill struggle now as Brian LaCroix at the back of the pack with the 12 or the Corvette at the back of the pack. As we turn our attention a little further forward, the 146 is Alan Phillips in the Mustang, and he's got the 34 of Tom O'Toole in the other BMW M2 right behind him. That's the battle for 9th and 10th, with those drivers spinning out just in front of them. And now we turn our attention back to the front of the field. You just saw the Viper and Mark Boden in the Porsche disappear, and here's a good look at that Cadillac Blackwing that John Heinricy's been developing.
Yeah, he just sort of chucked that to enter the climbing S's, and the back end kicks, and he just stayed with it all the way up them. He is manhandling that 3,800-pound Cadillac. Boden, though, he's definitely got some pace. Boden, these two have more experience than almost anybody else here at the runoffs. Both of them making their 40th start.
Yep.
Watch the Viper with its legs. Boden always in some sort of a Porsche. sometimes the BMW, and here he's back in the Porsche. Won this class just 2 years ago, but look, he wishes he had the power. He wishes he had the legs. He's going to have to find a different way past Scotty if he's going to want to take that second spot.
Yeah, Boden will probably find that the Porsche's maybe got a little better top end, but he doesn't have near the torque coming off the turn. And so Scotty B is going to be able to pull him coming off that very important oak tree turn.
Boden, even with a draft, still a mile an hour slower than Scotty B White was on the same straightaway. That just shows you Scotty, with an open top, still cracking 150.1 miles an hour down the back straight in his convertible.
That is hauling the mail, isn't it? As this is the battle for second spot. Rezzetano has already stretched his advantage. As you can see, he's just disappearing from view at the bottom of the frame. And Scotty B. White, a little squirrely under the brakes. The Porsche should have the advantage in the braking department for sure, if nothing else, just because of the layout of the car.
Unless there's a black Viper in his way, which is exactly what Scotty White's trying to do, is to not give Mark a place to brake and a place to turn in. And look at this now, because you got the 73 of Sanders, and of course Heinricy going side by side in a couple of spots here. The big car against the much lighter Corvette.
That's the C5 Corvette. We've got a C6 deeper in the back. Aaron Kaplan, or excuse me, Brian LaCroix in the C6. This is a C5.
These guys, of course, out of the same stable, both in Phoenix Performance with the C5 Corvette that, by the way, I think Heinricy was a part of the development at his days at GM of that C5 Z06.
No question.
Now he's up against one of his own teammates in a car he developed as he's up there in Blackwing, and that's the 14 Azul.
Going around again, this time without any help. He had that spin earlier as Kaplan and LaCroix got together, but he spun it one more time. But Rezzetano doing what Rezzetano does in this class, beginning to get away at the front. At the line last time, it was just over 3 seconds, and looks like it's going to be a little bit bigger now. The best battle in the top 5 is that one between Heinricy and David Sanders in the Cadillac and the Corvette.
Rezzetano very smooth as he went through Oak Tree. You see the car beautifully placed, rotates nicely, smooth on the power, no drama. He's got the tires are staying under him because he is just so smooth moving the weight around.
Exactly right. And Rezzetano, as we mentioned, a 4-time gold medalist in 11 starts, a total of 7 medals. And he's certainly hoping to add to that total here. As we watch Scotty B. White in that big Viper, Mark Boden right behind him in the Porsche. A little further up the road, almost 3 seconds now, back to the fourth place battle between Heinricy and Sanders. Scotty B under the line. There's Mark Boden in the fall line. Mark, of course, one of the principals of the fall line stable and knows that group of folks well, and they do a lot of great development, not only in Porsches, but BMWs and other things as well. Mark's been affiliated with that group since its inception. As we watch the battle now between Heinricy and Sanders once again.
Sanders closes up under braking and then some of the longer sustained sweepers. You'd expect that with the lighter Corvette rather than that heavy Blackwing Cadillac. But as soon as Heinricy gets this thing turned through 5 and he's able to get that torque of that twin-turbo V6 spooled up, he is gone. And all Sanders can do is just got to tuck underneath and hopefully go for a ride along with him, a little bit of draft.
David Sanders, of course, the winner of the Hawk Breakthrough Performer. That's an award given by Hawk Brakes for the Wednesday qualifier, who has made up the most positions between Tuesday and Wednesday's qualifying session. Sanders picked up 1 spot, and that was enough for that Hawk Breakthrough Performance Award.
Yeah, just watching Heinricy kick a little dirt into the face of Sanders behind him. Just got to say, here, have a little bit of dirt on your windshield. This ought to be fun. In a Cadillac that still has a leather armrest. It is a big slide for Heinricy going around Oak Tree. But yeah, you peek inside the cockpit of this thing, and it's still got leather. Well, you might have a little bit of dirt on his leather as he keeps dropping tires.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's still getting the grips with this, as Heinricy is, a septuagenarian, just as I am, and he's certainly got a lot of experience wheeling this car. And of course, Heinricy, if you don't know, shame on you, but he's been was a GM engineer for many years and has always raced GM products. And like I said, with 16 championships, he is second only to the late great Jerry Hansen for the number of championships.
Heinricy really just trying to use the right amount of track space to keep Sanders behind him. And by the way, all of our viewers are looking up septuagenarian to see what does that mean? Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What is that?
Yeah, gray hair. Yeah, look it up.
Well, I got that.
Yeah. But nonetheless, Heinricy across the line as he's back in that 4th spot, and that's right where he qualified. So, yeah, running pretty much true to form as the cars Rezzetano, White, and Boden are running in the same order they qualified. Sanders was right behind John Heinricy in the qualifying order, and he is really keeping Heinricy honest here.
Yeah, this is the veteran Heinricy showing why he has 16 gold medals as well as all sorts of other podiums, and he's been doing this a long time. He knows exactly how to position that car to prevent the much lighter Corvette behind him from getting any sort of advantage, because once he gets stuck behind the Corvette, it's going to be difficult to get back around.
Yep.
So he's using the size of that Cadillac to just position and prevent the Corvette from getting any run.
And we've had a swap in the Porsche battle just behind him as Joe Boden has gotten around Alan Kossoff. So Boden now up into 6th spot in that number 45 Porsche. And then the gray 23 of Alan Kossoff dropping back to 7th. As Heinricy taking it right out to the edge through the very daunting South Bend and into the double right-hander. That is Oak Tree Bend. The Oak Tree used to be right there, but it is no more. Heinricy goes wide again, gets both rear wheels off the track, and that's going to cost him a position.
Yeah, I saw as he turned into Oak Tree, he was very, very tight. Sanders taking the more traditional sweepy wide line out to the curb, and I wonder if Heinricy thought maybe he could just sort of go tentative tiptoe and then launch on it. Well, he never got the line pushed out in the dirt. Now he's lost that position. If you're Sanders, you got to now make sure that that Cadillac is well behind you as you get through the next set of twisty bits down the roller coaster.
As we're coming into the second 2/3 of this race, let's take just a moment for the final time this weekend to thank all of the folks that make the racing possible here at the 60th running of the SCCA Runoffs.
Okay, so pretend this is your race car. It's on the trailer, and you have an accident. Ouch! At least your truck's insurance will pay for another one? Yeah, not so fast. Standard insurance won't replace your race car, whether it's in the trailer, in the paddock, in the garage, or the repair shop. But at Hagerty, we can protect it for what it's really worth anytime it's off the track. No matter what or where you race, offer less than a set of race tires. Hagerty, let's drive together.
A car like this shouldn't exist. Something this big, this luxurious, shouldn't move like a Mazda. And yet, it does.
Oh my God, it sounds epic as well. This car is an SUV with bragging rights.
The 3-row Mazda CX-90.
Welcome back to Touring 2, the final medal race of the 60th running of the Runoffs. I'm John Phippen alongside Larry McLeod, and we come back to a full course yellow. We understand an issue at turn 14, which is right at the tail end of the climbing S's, and we'll get a replay of that brought out this yellow flag as the field slowing down, and they'll stack up behind the safety car. By the way, we'd like to thank Mazda and Sport Durst Mazda in Durham, North Carolina for providing the Mazda safety cars. We have multiple safety cars stationed around the track, and we appreciate Mazda and Sport Durst for making those available to us throughout the course of the week. Kurt Rezzetano is not happy to see this double yellow flag. He had built up almost a 7-second lead over Scotty B. White. And he's going to have to do it all over again.
Yeah, not all is lost for Kurt, though. He was still laying down 2-minute, 1-second lap times where Scotty was doing the 2-minute 2. Now, I talked early on, Scotty's on the Goodyears, which should be a really good tire for the long run. Rezzetano on the more traditional A7s, a lot of these cars are running on, so maybe they could start going away, but he's so soft on his tires, so gentle on them, he's still able to turn great lap times. But anytime you lose your lead like that, it makes you a bit nervous.
Just as we were going to break, we saw John Heinricy go wide there at the Oak Tree once again, and that opened the door for David Sanders to take over 4th spot in that C5 Corvette, number 73, and you can see he has done just that.
Starting to wonder if maybe it was Tom O'Toole that's the one that may have brought out this full course yellow as per timing. I don't think he's crossed over the timing stripe now in about 2 laps.
See the battle we've been following just behind Heinricy, Joe Boden and Alan Kossoff. Kossoff had the point of that duet for most of the early stages of the race, but just before we went to break, Joe Boden was able to get that pass done up to 6th, Kossoff 7th, Matthew O'Toole in the number 3 Porsche. We believe in the 8th spot. Brian LaCroix in the black Corvette C6 in 9th. Aaron Kaplan in one of 2 BMW M2s in the field in the 10th spot.
If I'm Joe Boden, I've got to actually think this may be a good thing for me because they've got the lighter Porsche right up underneath the very heavy Blackwing Cadillac of John Heinricy, and thinking maybe at this stage of the race, halfway through, Heinricy's car might get a little bit hot. The Porsche's also tend to get a little bit warm, but the Porsches might be a little better on their tires. So this could be interesting to see if Joe Boden's got anything to make a push and make a pass on Heinricy and get 2 Bodens into the top 5.
Yeah, exactly right. As you can see, the yellow Corvette of David Sanders weaving a little bit, trying to keep the debris off the tires. And I believe...
I think that is Tom O'Toole in the BMW M2 Cup car.
Also fall line prepared. Tom, as you can see, out of the car under his own power, and he's going to get a complimentary ride to the medical center just for a checkup after a contact like that. And we'll need just a little time to get that car extracted from the gravel trap. Yeah, here comes the Mustang of Alan Phillips running 11th, and Scott Sewell should be at the tail end in the red Porsche Cayman. There he is. So that's
been on camera shot a couple of times today.
So by process of elimination, it is Tom O'Toole in the BMW M2 that brought out this full course yellow, as we are working race lap number 8. So we're at the halfway point of this 15-lap race. 15 laps are 40 minutes, whichever comes first. We've still got 23 minutes left. So unless this is a extended yellow flag, we should have plenty of time to get all the laps
Fingers
in.
are crossed. Around this place, sometimes if there is a hard impact, tends to move the tire barriers around a little bit. Takes that banding material and has been tending to break them a little bit. So the VIR crew has been working endlessly, tirelessly to repair those tire walls as quickly as they can. They've had to unfortunately do it a couple of times this week, and we'll see if maybe, well, they've had the practice, see how quickly they can get in there and get that done. Hopefully it's not too much damage. We can get back underway as we're now just past the halfway point.
Fortunately, most of that was on Friday, our first race day, and we had a pretty clean day yesterday, and today's been pretty good as well. The weather has been absolutely phenomenal. You know, compared to last year when we had all 3 days in the hurricane. This one, Friday and Saturday, both dawned kind of overcast, but no participation in the forecast, and then bright sunshine, just like you're seeing now in the afternoon in both days. Today we woke up to bright sunshine, and it has been beautiful. Chamber of Commerce weather. We've worn that phrase out throughout the course of this week, as folks down here in near Milton, North Carolina, and Danville, Virginia, Alton, Virginia, actually the official post office home of this racetrack.
78 degrees in a beautiful October day. It doesn't really get any better than this.
Yeah, the only thing that would be better is if we were a little further north and the trees had begun to change. But
now you're getting picky.
Yeah. Well, you know, just not to be too picky, but assuming that we're all back next year, we'll get that chance.
We
next
just
year.
might.
We're going to be a little further north next year.
Central Wisconsin's pretty nice this time of year when it comes to colors of trees.
Yes, it is. But pack your sweaters, because it will be a little chilly in the evening once that sun goes down. And again, we're alluding to the fact that if you don't know, it's already been announced, our next 2 years of the runoffs will be at Road America. Arguably one of the top road courses in the country. I'm partial to my home track, which of course is the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And hopefully we'll see the runoffs there again before it's too much longer. But right at the moment, we know we're going to Road America for the next 2 years, and I can't wait. But take nothing away from this beautiful racetrack. Connie Nyholm and her staff have just done a magnificent job with this place. Not only the track itself and all the accoutrements that go with it, but the villas and where you guys are staying, and the restaurant here is great. It's just fantastic. And yeah, unfortunately, it does look like we're going to have to do a little rebuild work on the tire barrier, so that will extend this yellow flag just a little bit. But it doesn't look like it's extensive, so I think we should be able to get this done pretty quickly.
Fingers are crossed. They are doing, like I said, they've had to do this a couple times this week. They know exactly what they're doing out here. And I tell you what I love about VIR is this atmosphere. This paddock is great. It just has this like classic, club track sort of feel. But then again, this is a big time track. This is their speed here. You need skill here. I think it's great. And this event still, brings out people's just good size. It's so many great parties. The B-Spec party, hanging out with Greg and me all week. He's actually been in here bugging us sometimes this week. Hi, Greg. We've had some really good times. Last night I got to go hang out in one of the villas that you can see from the uphill climbing S's. That's actually where this camera is shooting from, is right next to all of those villas. It's just a great facility. I've been staying in the Lodge, which is, of course, the hotel just off the side of the Snake there. There's just some really cool things about this place that I've enjoyed the last 2 years coming here, and I'll miss it a little bit. Maybe I may come back here and come to a club race, maybe come to the Super Tour. Maybe I'll even bring my car back to a time trial here at some point. It's been a lot of fun.
And we'll continue the commercial for the Sports Car Club of America. I mean, it's 65,000 strong.
Yeah.
And, we talk about all the drivers coming here for a chance to get a gold medal and notch a championship in these winner-take-all finals. But all of the workers, the corner workers, the timing and scoring, stewards of the meeting, everybody who volunteers to come here come from all over the country, just as the drivers and the teams do. So this is the annual family reunion for the Sports Car Club of America. And for those of you within the sound of our voices that are not members of this club, we urge you to do so. Even if you're not a driver or don't aspire to be a driver, there's plenty of things you can do to get close to the racing. And like I say, the motto of the club is fun with cars.
Yeah,
and
come on out. Yeah,
and
go
we
to
do
your
it in a
local
big
track.
way.
Yeah, volunteer to help work at a local track. Take your daily driver out and run an autocross or a rally cross. There's a lot of different ways you can get involved. You don't necessarily you'll say, I don't have the money to become a driver. I can't afford an M2 Cup car. Well, okay, that's fine. Not everybody can, but you know what? If you've got your daily driver name, insert car name here, you can go ahead and jump into this and do what you want to do, whether it be some of the popular cars. Of course, the Toyota and the Subaru Twins are real popular. Miatas, obviously. Mazda has got a great program. I have a Mazda that I get to drive on the street and on the track sometimes. Corvettes, Mustangs, doesn't matter. Come on out and just have a good time. It is fun with cars, and it's a lot of fun. It's a good group to get involved with.
Yeah, exactly right. And, of course, solo competition. You and Tomo, of course, legendary in solo ranks.
Go that far.
Well, Larry, 5 consecutive solo national wins. Tomo is a 5-time solo nationals champion as well as a 2-time pro solo champion. Oh, he's got a couple World Challenge championships as well.
Things.
Yeah, but we don't want to make Tomo's head too big, but still. These guys that sit next to Greg and I on these race calls certainly know what they're doing. So, there's solo competition, there's road rally, there's rally cross. There's just so many different ways that you can have fun with cars. As the 34 of Tom O'Toole is on the hook, so hopefully that means we'll be able to get back to racing here very quickly.
Unfortunately,
we're not going to be able to do it this lap, so we'll go around one more time.
Tom O'Toole's fun with cars lasted about 5.5 laps, unfortunately for him.
And now not so much fun.
Yeah, unfortunately. But, he'll get the thing straightened back up again. Just like this tire wall, we'll get it straightened back up again, and we'll get going hopefully soon. Yeah,
this guy with the backhoe has been doing a lot of work rearranging these tires, and he's really good at it. Yeah. He's done several of these repair jobs over the course. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, absolutely. They want to make sure that these are all in the right position, because if one car has gone off there, another can. And safety is the primary concern. Obviously, we want to keep everybody safe, and those tire barriers are there for a reason, to avoid a hard impact into an immovable barrier or a less movable barrier.
So just a quick recap then, right? We're working lap 10, so there'll be 5 laps left. If we were to go green, 5 laps of green at about 2 minutes-ish per. Get you about 10 minutes. Clock's got 15 left. So we've got enough time to get this race in. If we were to go green here next time around, that's a good thing. I think if you're Rezzetano, you're trying to amp yourself back up to get to try and check out and keep Scotty White, Mark Boden further and further back. Mark Boden might think this could be a good opportunity to get up alongside Scotty White on a restart and see if there's something there. I think Joe Boden could do the same thing to John Heinricy between Joe's Porsche and Heinricy's Cadillac. I think Alan Kossoff might be thinking maybe he can make a move on even Joe Boden. So you could see a couple people think this is an opportunity to make a jump on a restart. We just got to get to that restart point and then see if we end up with a 4 or 5 lap sprint to the finish.
Right, exactly right. You saw one of the stewards there with a camera taking a shot of the tire barrier. I'm sure they're in consultation with race control to make sure that the tire barrier is where they want it to be before we release these cars. So they're going to take a little extra time to make that determination before they give them a clear course to get this race back underway. So we've still got time, like we said, just now passing 15 minutes remaining in this one. The other question mark, with the Goodyear tires on Scotty B. White's car, how do they respond differently from the Hoosiers after this heat cycle? These tires will have cooled down quite a bit. Will they fire back just as quickly as the Hoosiers, or will he be at a disadvantage or perhaps at an advantage? I don't know that he's got the pace to run with Kurt Rezzetano, but anything is possible. We've had some. Let's see, Star Wars.
As deadly as stormtroopers right now, taking a drill gun, apparently just as accurate as a stormtrooper is shooting their guns. And for Star Wars fans, that's a pretty funny reference.
The word we're getting from race control is that the cleanup's about finished and they're going to head out. So you can see the spare tires, no pun intended. That trailer's been busy this weekend. We've had to replace a lot of tire bundles. And again, tip of the hat to all of the VIR course workers. Yeah. They are not necessarily SCCA members. They work for the racetrack, and they have done yeoman service this weekend when we've had these kind of incidents. And you can see the Mazda safety car has slowed down because race control is saying, hey, take your time, because if these guys can get clear, we'll go this time, as they're climbing the hill here, approaching the roller coaster.
I don't see the Cadillac doing a whole lot of weaving to warm tires. I'm thinking he might be thinking those tires are plenty hot. He might be dragging the brakes just enough to keep the heat in the brakes, because he knows that the 3,800-pound car needs to stop when he goes down into turn 1 the next time. So let's see how this goes. It sounds like we might be getting green flag next time by.
That is the confirmation we're getting. And now Mr. Heinricy begins to weave a bit to get the debris off the tires, if nothing else, and get the surface a little warmer.
We saw those lights go out. He's like, okay, now it's go time. Let's double check, make sure the car feels good, and let's try to have a bit of a drag race, which I'm sure the car loves, and then a braking challenge going into one with his buddy Sanders in front of him.
The cool thing about that Blackwing is with the, if you follow Formula One, the whole deal with the Andretti Global team perhaps being the 11th team to be added to the Formula One circus, and Cadillac is already signed on as their sponsor. So this could be a harbinger of a big push for Cadillac's awareness level of their road racing campaign. As we get ready to roll here, this is a single file restart. Rezzetano can determine where he accelerates once he passes that start line. You can just see it back there. He has already dropped the hammer. The green is out, and as soon as the green flag flies, they're free to go. And Scotty B. White picked his acceleration point just perfectly, and he's going to take the lead here. Now, can he hold it is the question. Rezzetano was able to roll around the outside on the opening lap. Now he's going to try the over-under and get on the outside of NASCAR as they work their way through. Boden is right there trying to pick who to follow as they work their way through NASCAR, but Scotty B still has the lead as they head down into left hook. Rezzetano dives down to the inside, forces Scotty B wide, and he retakes the lead. Boden there to pick up the spots. Should there be a little bobble between those two? Right behind him, Sanders in that yellow Corvette. Then the 16-time champion, Heinricy, as again, somebody's shortcutted the chicane and kicked a whole lot of dust up in the air. You can tell we haven't had rain here in a while, as that dust is really, really dry. As once again, side-by-side racing a little deeper in the pack, as Brian LaCroix in that Corvette and Aaron Kaplan in the blue and green BMW going side by side.
Big slide for Scotty coming around South Bend. I thought for a minute that car was going to be wide enough to hold Rezzetano behind, but Kurt, very patient to find his moment. Just the side-by-side through 4 allowed him, because he carried a little bit more speed with the lower weight, and now look at him pulling away already. Now it's Mark Boden's turn to take the attack to Scotty White there in that second spot.
And Alan Kossoff got around Joe Boden, and now he's glued right to the back of the Cadillac of Heinricy. But Heinricy getting a good run here on Sanders, and he's going to try to take that pass and get that position back. Sanders had gotten around him up into 4th. Now Heinricy up to 4th, maybe. Sanders deep as they go into the roller coaster, but Heinricy able to make it happen. And then right behind Sanders now is Alan Kossoff in that number 23 Porsche.
Yeah, Kossoff seeing the opportunity happening in front of him. It was a bit of a double checkup. He thought, okay, I can get a good run down there, my little skinny Porsche. Unfortunately, not enough room to quite get around Sanders, but good job for Heinricy, knowing that car's got legs to get out in front, and with the nice warm brakes, he was able to get that thing low down at the top of the hill, and then forcing Sanders to back up a little bit and get back. We'll see if Sanders is able to come back up. Look at Scotty, back under braking, going into 1. He's right there.
Yeah, absolutely right. We've got working race lap 12, so 3 to go as we're in the final stages here. And as we look at the clock, we'll have plenty of time. We've got 10 minutes to go, unless we have another full course yellow. We certainly don't want that to happen, as we want to see this race stay green right to the end.
Yeah, look at Scotty, though. I think he's now going, okay, I got a car under me. These tires are at perfect temp. Let me continue to pressure and pressure. Maybe force Rezzetano to cook his tires a little bit, which he was not able to do in the first half of this race. Maybe he can now. Look at the dirt across the track in the snake, as that was brought up once they went green. A couple of cars are just clipping that left first apex there at the snake, and that dirt makes things just a little bit dusty through there, visibility-wise, as well as you dirty up your tires a little bit. Hopefully it's gone by the time you get to this, as they start to climb the S's.
That Porsche of Kossoff was right on the rear bumper of David Sanders just a lap or so ago, but Heinricy and Sanders have been able to pull away from that Porsche. And Sanders and Heinricy are staying right with Mark Boden here as they come through. In fact, getting a good run, and there goes Kossoff going a little wide, two wheels off. That should open the door for Joe Boden to try to retake that position.
Yep.
But he was a little too far back. He'll certainly have a better run all the way up Madison Avenue here.
Watch Heinricy. He's got the
Heinricy is
legs.
all over Mark Boden. He has been playing possum here, ladies and gentlemen. I think that Cadillac's been biding his time to get to the end here, and Heinricy has decided it's go time. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and these two veterans here, they've both been around a very long time, and this cagey little match is going to be fun, because maybe Heinricy may have been thinking, oh, I can't quite catch him, he's too far in front, but with the yellow period coming out, now he's on his tail, short little sprint. It's going to end up being a total of 5 laps after yellow. He might be thinking this car's got something in it, and clearly the legs are there on the Cadillac. He didn't make the pass on Boden that time. Doesn't mean it's going to be a last chance for him.
In Street Tune, that is a very powerful car. That Blackwing variant of the CT4-V is got plenty of horsepower, as he has had no trouble getting the thing up the top end. But like I say, it is so heavy, as he loses a little momentum, certainly to the Porsche, through this first segment, which has a lot of turns and twists in it. Rezzetano holding his own right now, but Scotty B is not letting him get away.
He's definitely not. He's pushing and pushing hard. Look at him. He's going to be using the curbs there as he comes around in 5, enters into the snake. He's going to use curbs here. He'll grab a little more on the left side of the car, a little more on the right, a little more on the left, just keep dancing, and then he'll go triple digits up the uphill S's to try and stick with that little blue Mustang out in front of him.
You can see the ground that Heinricy loses to Boden in that opening segment. Same thing with David Sanders in that yellow Corvette. He's able to stay right with him, but once he gets to this part of the racetrack, Heinricy has really got this guy flowing beautifully through the climbing S's, and he's able to close right back down on Boden. And of course, the run up the hill, he has got much more torque coming off of Oak Tree and the uphill climb on Madison Avenue. And that's where he's able to make up some ground on Mark Boden just in front of him.
Well, the Cadillac should have really good torque initially on the straightaways, but the Porsche seems to be not too shabby once it gets spooled up a little bit. But let's see if the Blackwing can reel him in. And if he can, does he bother to go by, or does he just hold back a little bit? Again, these two veterans have they've been around a racetrack or two in their days.
Indeed they have. Between them about 80 starts.
That's just at the runoffs.
Yeah, just at the runoffs, yeah.
I don't even want to know how many laps these two in their careers have turned. It might be the most of anybody here at the facility.
Yeah, and Heinricy on the GM testing grounds, proving grounds, I can't imagine how many laps he's got.
And Boden with fall line, I mean, he practically lives at a racetrack, so I'm sure thousands and thousands between them.
Yeah.
Sanders not going anywhere, though. He's right there in that yellow C5.
You know, a great John Heinricy story was told to me many, many years ago that, you know, he likes to tell folks that, you know, you talk about the seat of the pants feel that a driver has. And, you know, he says that his has been emery boarded off to the point where it is, you know, glassy smooth. And he's got a very well-tuned seat of his pants to just about any kind of car that he drives. But Scotty B. White, again, hard to believe, with all of his 41 runoff starts, has never had a gold medal. And he's come up short before. He's had 2 silver medals, 4 bronze medals, but never has been on top step of the podium. Could this be the year that he breaks through? If Rezzetano has just the littlest bobble, Scotty's going to be there.
He's going to have to make a run here quick. With about a lap and a half to go, they'll be coming around here to Oak Tree for the second to last time. He'll have to use the legs of that Viper to try and close up. He seems to be pretty good when the 2 back-to-back straights come together. He's close at 1, and then you just watch Rezzetano as they go through 4 and then through the lower S's. That's where he starts to pull away. Scotty's got to find a way to get closer sooner.
Exactly right. Again, we'll be coming to the white flag this time by as we're working lap 14. Boden once again able to stretch it just a bit. I think Heinricy's challenge may have been blunted, as I don't know that he's got the legs to catch up to that Porsche.
Yeah, and I think if you're Sanders, you're wondering if John maybe got that car about as hot as he can get it. And maybe now the C5 has a chance in the next 1.1 laps to go on by. Let's see if he makes a push. Look how much speed he carries to the apex for the 73 of Sanders.
Sure, yeah, much more nimble than the Cadillac, as you would expect. It's probably half the weight.
Yeah.
Maybe not half, but certainly a lot less. Yeah.
A few hundred pounds.
Yes, indeed. As they come out of hog pen and approach the start stand, the starter with the white flag in hand. And we are on the final lap of the final race of the 60th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Down into turn 1 goes Mark Boden. There's your leader, Kurt Rezzetano, as he has dominated this class. 4 wins already, the last 2 in a row, looking to make it a hat trick. As he gives a little tap to the brakes to make sure the pads are seated. As they go through left hook and then the right-hander right after it.
This is where this car's strengths really come out, is this stage of the race. Just a kind of a sprint, just rolling across curves and pulling away as it transitions, and moving the much less weight back and forth becomes a much easier task for him than the 3,600 plus pound Viper that Scotty White's got underneath him. Scotty loves the straightaways, but suddenly you get into this stuff and it's just not quite as easy to stick. Look at that, almost up on 2 for the Mustang going through the top of the S's.
Yeah, you know, these Phoenix-tuned Mustangs are just so dominant. You know, we saw Aqualante do that, you know, earlier this weekend.
T1 car.
In his T1 car, just absolutely flowing through those climbing S's. And this one is doing much the same thing. As on the way to the checkered flag is Kurt Rezzetano, just a handful of turns left to notch his 5th gold medal.
Oh, things have tightened up here, though. Sanders is up under the back of Heinricy, and they're both all right on the tail of Boden. I don't know if Heinricy maybe was holding back for one last push, and this is it. What kind of legs does he have? Was he holding back the last 2 trips?
Anything is possible. He's a wily guy, no question, and he is right on the back. Now he's going to try to send a dummy perhaps to Mark Boden, but Mark is not going to be fooled by that. Boden as late as he can be on the brakes. Heinricy not quite as late. Look at Sanders close up as they plunge down the hill for the final time on the way to the checkered flag. Sanders is going to try something here. But look, Heinricy's as close as he's been at this stage of the racetrack, but I don't think he's got enough. But take nothing away from Kurt Rezzetano, gold medal number 5, as he takes it across the line, second to Scotty B. White again. And look at this trio coming to the line, nose to tail, but Mark Boden holds off the late race challenge from the 16-time medalist John Heinricy. David Sanders, a well-deserved 5th spot. And then behind them, Alan Kossoff in the gray Porsche, as he is just now going under the line. And then right behind him, we've got the number 3 of Matthew O'Toole, just in front of Aaron Kaplan on the final lap. As he moves up into 9th spot, Kaplan takes the final step in the top 10. In front of them, Brian LaCroix in that black C6 Corvette in 8th position.
Yeah, great race for Rezzetano, showing that just pure talent that he has. Running away from the field, yellow comes out, and then he's able to kind of do it again, even with Scotty jumping him a bit on the start, on that restart, getting in front of him. Kurt just says, okay, I can find my moment, sees that he's got better, ultimately, apex speed in the Mustang than Scotty had in the Viper, and then Kurt just says, okay, I'm going to lay it down. He went out and ran a series of high 201 lap times, pulled away, pulled away, pulled away, 3 in a row, 5 total for Rezzetano. That's dominating in this class.
Absolutely, and you know, he never put a wheel wrong.
No.
I mean, that car was hooked up the entire way. So
those Phoenix guys know how to set up a car.
Oh man, do they ever. And they get some good wheelmen behind the wheels as well. So take nothing away from Kurt Rezzetano. It's
and those guys are the same guys.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
wheelman and the mechanics. Rezzetano is a mechanic as well as a wheelman. We know, of course, Aqualante, Marshall, all those guys are the mechanics and the drivers.
Aqualante family the same way. Here's your top 10. These are unofficial results, of course, but Kurt Rezzetano taking the win pretty comfortably, almost 3 seconds over Scotty B. White. Yet another second place. Mark Boden holds on to a big challenge at the end over John Heinricy. David Sanders taking 5th place honors. Alan Kossoff, Joe Boden, Brian LaCroix, Matthew O'Toole, and Aaron Kaplan, your top 10. Scott Sewell and Alan Phillips, the last 2 cars running. Tom O'Toole bringing out the yellow flag with that unfortunate crash with his BMW M2. Here are the highlights of this one. And once again, as we had at both starts, Scotty B. White using the superior torque of that big V10 Viper to get out in front. But just look how well that...
Just can't get a woe down and hold the grip like the Mustang can. In
Yeah,
this case,
exactly.
Yeah, the first green, you see here, Rezzetano able to get to the inside, the advantage line. Watch the slide, Rezzetano here, forcing Scotty to check up. Right leg there. That may have actually helped Rezzetano pull away the first time.
Yeah, exactly right. As he's able to maintain the advantage. Mark Boden thinking about having a look on Scotty White, but couldn't quite get close enough as the field very much single file the first time through as they worked their way through the snake and the field just being set up. Then we saw this battle, and this came to tears, unfortunately, as these two came together. The 12 of Brian LaCroix in the black Corvette, and then Aaron Kaplan in the BMW. And then a little later on, this is on the restart, as once again, Boden giving chase to Scotty White, who got to the front. But once again, Rezzetano just able to round him up. The superior handling and the torque of that Mustang, unassailable, and he wins comfortably, almost a 3-second margin in a short run to the flag. The final member of our broadcast team, of course, is Haywood Wagner, and he's got the best job of all of us because he gets a chance to bask in the glory of these celebrations at the end of the race, as Kurt Rezzetano, with a big smile on his face, and advisedly so. There's the gold medal going around the neck, and he'll get his cap on, and let's go down to Haywood Wagner for our final podium of the weekend. Hey, Haywood.
Kurt getting a big drink of water.
Yeah.
You made it look easy. I bet it wasn't.
No, that Viper's bad fast. That's what I told them on the radio at the end. I said those were straight qual laps at the end of it. I was happy with where we were until the caution, and then restart. I knew I was in trouble on the starts. He was going to pass me no matter what. So just tried to. I didn't warm the tires back up at all. I just let them cool down, and hopefully I could keep it on the road the rest of the race.
How important did it feel to you after the restart to lead through the uphill S's?
That's my sector. I got to get him there. I got to get him from turn 5 on, because on the back and the front straight, he's just got so much speed on me. I was a sitting duck, so just had to get a little bit of separation, and that was all it took.
Well, congratulations to you. Another championship for you and the Phoenix team. You've got folks loading up here that are looking for a ride, so enjoy it.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Hayward. Great job. As we hear from Kurt Rezzetano, who didn't make it to it. In fact, there's Andrea Aquilano congratulating him, another of the Phoenix drivers who has been dominant in his own class for sure. But Rezzetano, what more can you say?
Honestly, very much like how Andrew runs a race, dominant, inch perfect, uses the curb, throws it around. Both these guys are just superior drivers, and it's showing here how Kurt can just dominate the field, knew exactly where his strength was, pulled out, and takes that victory.
As we're just getting settled in for the balance of our podium, we've still got second and third place to have a chat with. But Kurt Rezzetano loading up the entire Phoenix crew, and they are about to head out on their lap of honor with the checkered flag hanging out the window. As, again, this is our final gold medal of the runoffs for this year. And, again, thanks to all the fine folks at Virginia International Raceway for making this race possible for 2 years in a row now. Let's head down to Hayward for the balance of our podium. Go ahead, Hayward.
Scotty, how many restarts would you have liked to have in this race?
I would like to have one with only one lap. that would have been better for sure. Yeah.
It looked like this was just a whole lot of fun to wrestle this race car around the track, and I know you were giving Kurt all you had. What was it like for you?
It was cool. It was a big girl. Kurt is Kurt is Kurt's. He's Kurt. He's good. The Phoenix crew guys, hats off to them. I mean, at least I think maybe we kept him honest. We got him wagging the tail a little bit and kicking up some dirt. But as heavy as this thing is, this couple of school buses, these Goodyears hung on to it. It was really cool. I was like, all right, Jay told me it's going to work, man. I'm leaning on him hard. We were coming down through 17 and. There was a bunch of G's in this car.
Well, Scotty, you're never a boring interview, but I want to point out you got the daughters' names embroidered on each side of the shoulders here. Pretty cool. Congratulations, Pops.
All right, thanks, Hayward.
And we got Mark Boden right here. We're just going to turn right over. Mark, welcome back to the podium. This is old hat for you, a bronze. Yeah. Not the one you wanted most, but another one.
You know, just proud to be up here with these guys. It's such a competitive field, and they're such great drivers. Congrats to both Scotty and Kurt. They drove great. It just seemed that everybody, after the restart, everybody recovered much better than my car did, or wherever it was. The Hoosiers were great, but the little Porsche didn't recover quite as good as everybody else, and kind of fell back, but hung on to it.
And you and Heinricy, just a couple of veterans in your luxury cars, out for a cruise, right?
Absolutely, yeah. He was coming. Another great, just to be in a field of these names is great. Big thanks to SCCA and all the workers and everything that goes into the event, and Hoosier and Fall Line. Thanks much.
Well, congratulations to you. Enjoy the bronze.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hayward. Thanks again for everything you do for us. And as we said, this is the final medal ceremony for this year's edition of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. I would like to give a thanks to Larry McLeod and Tom O'Gorman, my co-announcers, if you will, throughout the course of this weekend. It's been my pleasure and my honor to have this opportunity to bring these races to you. I hope you've enjoyed the races, and I also would like to give a special thanks to Clark and the entire crew from Apex Broadcast. These images have been absolutely flawless throughout the course of the weekend. Thanks to all the camera people, the guys in the truck, and Clark himself, who puts this whole thing together. There is no better crew in the country, and they do a fantastic job of it, and it's been my pleasure to have the opportunity to work with them once again. So with that, we will say our goodbyes. And on behalf of Larry McLeod and Hayward Wagner, I'm John Phippen. We hope to see you next year at Road America. Until then, be careful, have fun with cars, and we'll see you down the road.
My customer experience with Mazda has been absolutely fantastic.
I'm probably not the richest person out here, and they're extremely reasonably priced, and you can buy parts easily, and it's a class that fits both what I want from a racing standpoint and what I can afford.
We got into Mazdas largely just because it's a fantastic platform, and Mazda Motorsports has some of the best support for the grassroots racer in parts and technical advice and everything else, so they make it easy for us to run these cars.